what am I supposed to do with myself now? Absolute masterpiece. No matter what, you are wrong. Got there in the end. Absolutely howling. Strong words, I know. Immaculate. Hello. Hello book besties. Welcome back. My name's Sian. I read 11 books for the month of May, so this video is going to be a reading wrap up, so let's go through them. Let me just start off by saying that this month has been absolutely incredible. The books that I picked, like, don't get me wrong, not all of them, but most of them, top tier. I don't know what the authors were like smoking when they wrote these books, but
this is good shit.
It has honestly been one of my favourite months for books so far this year. Right, Bruni? As you can see, we're in a different location today. I've moved into my reading chair. This is where I sit, like not all the time, but this is where I sit to do my reading. So like I've got my big bookshelves literally right behind you here, and then my little overflow shelf. And my beanbag just sits here, and then I've got a Kindle, I don't know if you can see that. I have a Kindle holder there, which normally sits like right here, but I've moved it out of the way for the sake of this video because I didn't want it ruining my aesthetic. I've got my little fairy lights that are like wrapped around this pole that I put on when it's dark, and like my little lamp just next to the bookshelf, so it just gives a nice little ambience. I do love this reading corner, I can't lie. And also just one last thing before we get into it. I swear I'm getting to the point, but can we just take a moment to appreciate my t-shirt? I got gifted this from ASOS. This is an ASOS design t-shirt. I'm obsessed with it. I'm actually obsessed with it. So yeah, just wanted to share with the girls. Okay, let's get into it then. So let me get my trusty list because it will tell me what I rated things, because I read so much I can't remember the ratings. Unless they're 5-star, then I generally can't remember the exact rating I gave them. Okay, here we go. We started off the month very strong with Enigma by Runix. So if you know me, you know that Runix is one of my favourite authors. I am obsessed with the dark verse. I'm obsessed with Tristan Kane. I will always read her books. Like Gothicana was absolutely unbelievable. I was so obsessed with that book, and I just knew this was gonna slap. It's a dark academia. Like, say no more. Like, I will read that all day, every day. This book was so good. I won't lie, I thought this book was going to be a 5-star for me. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars, so almost 4. So it was very good. It was just missing a few little things for me that would have bumped it up to a 5. But that being said, I went absolutely feral for Kaz and Salem. This story was just, it gripped me. It really did, and I loved it. It did take me a few chapters to get into. I think that's one of the reasons why I did knock it down, but once I was invested, that the story just like, I was hooked. The spooky vibes in this were immaculate. The mystery, I really love that Runix does that in her books. Like, she just keeps you guessing, and she doesn't give you the whole, you don't know the whole, not the whole story, because obviously you don't know the whole story.
Why did you say that? Why?
You don't know the main character's truths while you're reading it, if that makes sense. So pieces of their past become unraveled the more you read. This would definitely be a good book to read in like October, Halloween vibes. Like, yeah, this is perfect for that. Then I moved on to King of Envy by Anna Huang. I gave this 4.75 stars. This book was an absolute masterpiece. Like, it really was. Anna, you have outdone yourself. Dare I say, Vuk Markovic may or may not have dethroned Dante Russo. Strong words, I know. Like, I feel a little bit unwell even saying that because Dante has my heart forever. Screaming, but Daddy, I love him. This man was just something else. Like, oh my god, I was obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed. I wanted it to be a 5-star, but something happened in the end. Let's just say they got into a little scenario. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who's not read it. They got into a little scenario and they needed assistance to get out of it. This is both the main characters now, and it's not even a person. The thing that got them out of it irritated me so much I had to knock off a 1/4 star because I was just like, are you for real? Like, don't please tell me you've not written that. I know that's very vague. I know that doesn't really tell you anything, but if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna say shadow, and I'm not gonna say anything else.
My lips are sealed.
My lips are sealed.
This was so good, like the yearning, the pining, the tension, oh my god, like, it was just brilliant. So it was like best friend's fiance, but the marriage was a marriage of convenience, and he didn't know that, so he was like just pining after her. He wanted her so badly, but he didn't want to upset his best friend, not knowing that it wasn't even a real engagement. So, and he just goes feral, and this is like Anna going back to her dark romance roots. Like he is feral. Like he would do anything. Like he gives zero shits. Like touch her and you die. That's the kind of vibe that he brought. It was chef's kiss. Then I read Dare You to Hate Me by, who are you? B. Celeste. This was one that my TBR jar picked for May. So this was a book by, was this a book? What was this a book by? Oh my god, what was it? Oh, it was a non-popular book. Got there in the end. So I bought this series. It's a 3-book series, I think. I'm not sure. I don't think there's any more. I got them on Vinted for like £14 for the 3 of them. So I'd never heard of it before, but when I saw it on there, I thought, oh, they sound quite good. They're like sports romances. So I was like, yeah, go on, we'll give it a go. So it was a non-popular book. So basically it's a sports romance. The main characters used to be best friends when they were younger. She was from a very bad home, so she ran away and she asked him to go with her, and he didn't. He was going to graduate from high school, go off to college and then get drafted to the NFL. So he just couldn't go with her. That was it. They lost touch for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they're both in the same college. He's still always just loved her, and she doesn't want to forgive him because of the way her life turned out and the things that she had to do. And some parts of it I really, really vibed with, and some just weren't for me. I gave it 2.5 stars. It wasn't the best. It was an entertaining read, but like, I don't think the writing was the best either. So the story wasn't the best, the writing wasn't the best, but it did have something about it, and it did have a lot of potential. Like, if I could rewrite this, I would. Okay, next up I read One by One by Frida McFadden. So as you know, I've slowly been making my way through Frida McFadden's books. My best friend said, so I've done a couple of tandem reads with one of my best friends, Lauren, and my best friend Hall was like, can we do a tandem read together? Like, she's quite a slow reader, bless her. But she was like, I'll keep up with you, I promise, because she knows I read really fast. So she was like, please can we do a tandem read? Can we read one by one? And because my mum had read it and she told me it was good, so I'd added it to the TBR and I told Hol about it. She was like, please can we read that? Like, it sounds really good. I'll get it and then like, I'll let you know when it comes and then we can start. And I was like, yeah, perfect. So we started this tandem read. And then we did like a little check-in a few chapters in, and I was like, oh yeah, it's going really good. And she was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Sounds great. Like, I'm intrigued, blah, blah, blah. And then I said like, what page you want or what chapter, whatever, because I don't want to say something and spoil something that if you've not read that far yet. So she sent me a photograph of the page she was on. And the chapter that like the name of the person, you know, like when it's dual POV and it tells you whose like POV it's from, it was a name that wasn't in this book. And I was like, what book are you reading? And she was like, One by One. And I was like, by Frida McFadden. And she was like, oh no, it's by a different author. So she was reading a completely different book, just had the same name. I was absolutely howling. Like, it was so funny. So yeah, we didn't get to do the tandem read, but I still read it. And what did I give it? I gave it 4 stars. This book was so good. Basically, the premise of the story is the main character and 5 friends, including like her husband, so it's like 3 couples, they're going to like this, not like a hotel, but like a cabin resort type place in the woods for a week, just for some like respite away from their kids and stuff, like a, you know, friend's holiday. So they drive there, and one by one the friends start going missing or are presumed dead, and you don't know what's going on. Like, it's very good. So they don't actually make it to the resort. Their car breaks down in the woods, and things are happening in the woods that is just like freaking everybody out. And I was like on edge the whole time, like, what is going on? Who is doing this? And the twist at the end, again, Frida, I couldn't have guessed it. I couldn't have guessed it. Like, I don't know how the hell she does this every single time. The way her brain works, I keep thinking, oh, it's a double bluff. Like, oh, she wants you to think this, so this is going to be the truth. And it's like, nothing you can think of is right. Like, no matter what, you are wrong. So yeah, I was very, very impressed. I enjoyed it. Oh my god. Okay. Then I read The Song of Achilles, and I gave this 5 stars. Every time I think about this book, it makes me upset. I'm such a sap. This book was one of the easiest 5 stars I've ever given in my life. This was the most captivating, beautiful, heartbreaking story that I have ever read. I just loved it. I loved it so much. Basically, this follows Achilles and Patroclus. It's from Patroclus's POV. It goes from when he was a child who got exiled and went to live in Achilles' father's kingdom, and how he first met Achilles and kind of became enamored with him as a child, and they became friends. He became his companion. So they kind of grew up together, and then their relationship developed into something more, and it was just so beautifully written. Like, it's not spicy. It was so beautifully written, their relationship, and how it was so innocent and turned into something so like pure and beautiful. It really, really was. And then how Patroclus would basically follow him anywhere because he loved him. And like, we've all seen the movie Troy, like we know what happens to both Patroclus and Achilles in that film, and I never expected that the ending would turn out the same. One of the like main things throughout is that Achilles was like the greatest warrior who ever lived in Greece. He would find fame during the war in Troy, but he would die there. So that was like, you know, that's not a secret throughout the whole thing. So I knew to expect that. And I just never thought it would end the way the film ended. And I was quite honestly devastated. I think that is probably the only appropriate word. I was absolutely, completely devastated. I felt like I knew these characters personally. Like, I felt like it was somebody that I knew and loved. I was heartbroken. I just couldn't stop crying. And then the end, even after the event, things happened that still just had me sobbing, and all evening I was just absolutely, I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. I'm going to insert a little clip right here just to show you how unwell I was after reading this book. Holy shit. Yeah, it may seem a little dramatic, but I felt how I felt, do you know what I mean? This book was just absolutely phenomenal. Honestly, it's made it to my God tier list of books. Like, I will never recover from this.
This is the end. No. I feel it.
Ever. Okay, then I moved on to The Tenant by Frida McFadden. This is her new book. She's not long released it within like the last month, I think it was. So I've been enjoying her book so much, I thought I'm gonna dive straight in. I did a tandem read with my mum actually, because I told her about the situation with Hall about One by One, and she was like, well, we can read The Tenant together if you want. And I was like, yeah, all right then. I gave it 4.75 stars. I thought it was incredible. It absolutely blew my mind. Frida, are you actually kidding me? How have you done this again? I need to know. I don't understand how you're doing this. What are you putting in these books? Because I couldn't put it down. This book made me feel nervous the whole time I was reading it. So basically this couple who are engaged, they bring a tenant into their house because the guy loses his job and they're struggling for money and they don't want to lose their house. They have like a lodger. A lot of things happen, like a lot, and there's ulterior motives, and it's very wild. Like, it's wild to think this couldn't happen in real life, but realistically it probably could. Like, there are some psychos out there. If you like Frida McFadden's books and you haven't read this yet, I'd highly recommend going to read it. Then I read First to Die by James Patterson. My little brother bought me this for Christmas? Yeah, I think it was for Christmas. This was another one that my TBR jar picked out. This was a book that I hadn't wanted to read. And the only reason I didn't want to read it was because it wasn't on my TBR. It wasn't a book I picked myself. My brother just picked a random book and was like, Sian likes to read, here we go, she can have this. So I was kind of like, oh, I really don't want to read it. Like, the synopsis sounds good, or sounded good to me, but you know, when you just like, if you're a reader, you know, you have your TBR and you pick it yourself, and that's just how you like it. So I thought, let me force myself to read it, because I was going to read it at some point anyway, because he bought it for me, and obviously, like, I'm not going to be rude, I'm going to read it, but I didn't want to, so I forced myself to read it. I gave it 4.25 stars. This was such a good story. Like, it had me on the edge of my seat. I believe it's the first book in like a multiple book series. James Patterson wrote this very, very well. I was so intrigued, and there was twists throughout. I wasn't expecting it. It was a very good storyline. Like, the crime was multiple crimes. The crimes were horrific, and the detective, like, I really liked the main character, Lindsay. Like, I liked her way of trying to figure things out, and then the other people who she brought in to help with the case and stuff. It was just very good the way the story developed. I really enjoyed it. Then I read Rewind It Back by Liz Tom Ford because it came out in May and I obviously couldn't not read it. Oh, this story was the most perfect ending to a series that I have loved so much. I honestly think the Windy City series is one of my favourite series of all time. I gave this book 4.5 stars, and 4.5 stars is the lowest rating that I've given to any of the books, so if that gives you any indication to how incredible this series is. Rio has been one of my favourite characters throughout the whole thing, and he deserved his own book more than anyone. Like, this man has my heart. He's the greenest flag. Like, to be honest, all of the men in this series have green flags. I mean, maybe Xander's not so much at the start, but he turned out to be. But all of them, they're just such green flags. I really love that about the way Liz writes her MMCs. But Rio and Hallie, like, it was always you. What a trope. She did it so well. I loved learning about their backstory and I loved seeing them find their way back to each other. It was just really, really beautiful. And now the series is over and I kind of feel like, what am I supposed to do with myself now? Because what am I supposed to do with myself now, guys? Does anybody else feel like that? Yeah, you need to go and read this series if you haven't. And if you have read the series and you haven't got to rewind it back yet, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for, huh? Then I moved on to Older by Jennifer Hartman. This book was my book club pick for the month. There's details of my book club in the description if you want to join. It's on Fable and it's free, and we'd absolutely love it if you join us. We've just picked our book for June and it is, funnily enough, Lotus by Jennifer Hartman. I swear we're not just picking all Jennifer Hartman books, I promise. It just so happens that it's turned out that way. But holy shit, this book was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I knew it was an age gap romance. I knew it was fathers. I knew it was best friend's father, which is just delicious. Like, in real life, ew, but in fiction, take my money.
Shut up and take my money.
Reed and Hallie were actually everything. Like, they literally gave me life. Their relationship, the angst and the turmoil and the longing, oh my god, and the worry for how other people would react or condemn them even because of the age gap. It was everything. It was absolutely everything. I was completely hooked. I started it very late the night that I finished Rewind It Back, so I read maybe like 5% of the book and then I read the remaining 95% in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. I gave it 4.25 stars. I really, really, really loved it. Oh, so good. Jennifer Hartman's books, they slap though. They really do. She knows how to write a kind of tragic story. But yeah, forbidden romance really, really does it for me, and this was like no different. It was so good. One of these side characters really irritated me, especially towards the end, and that's one of the reasons why I did knock it down like some quarters of stars, but overall it was just so good. Like, you need to read it. Then I moved on to If We Ever Meet Again by Anna Huang. This was another one from the TBR jar. This was the first book in a series. I've read all of the Twisted series, I've read all of the Kings of Sin, and I've read The Striker, but I hadn't got around to the If Love series. I've got them all on my shelf, I just haven't got around to it. So I knew it was Anna's first work, so you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, you know? She's obviously developed since then because I'm obsessed with her other stuff. Aside from The Striker, I hated that. Oh, I hated that. Anyway, this wasn't that great, I can't lie. I gave it 2.75 stars. There was some things I really liked, and you could see little snippets of Anna's current writing style. The storyline was just lacking for me. Very, very lacking. At times I found it to be a little bit boring. It's written in third person as well, but the third person is not done well. Obviously, Twisted, Kings, they're all written in first person, and Anna does that so well. Like, she's definitely found her style now. This was just not it. This is a duet though, so I am actually currently reading book 2 because I need to finish that. I'm still undecided as to whether I'm going to read book 3 and 4, but they are on my shelf and I kind of feel like I've bought them. I don't want to waste my money, so I think at some point I will read them, but I'm not going to rush to get to them because, yeah, it just wasn't the best. One thing I've noted as well was the plot kind of jumped all over the place. There were some things that just didn't make sense to me, and the spicy scenes didn't hit at all. They didn't do anything for me.
Really, really bad.
And something happens towards the end that is an absolute big no-no for a book boyfriend for me. I'm not a fan of Blake. I don't like him. Like, I read mostly for the MMC. If the MMC is not the one, then the book's not the one, do you know what I mean? Then lastly, I moved on to Release in 10 by Chloe Walsh. I am absolutely obsessed with the Boys of Tommen series, so obviously I was going to read this. Even though Taming 7 I felt was a bit of a letdown, obviously I was still going to read this. Now, I need to start off by saying this is probably the darkest book I have ever read in my life. Excuse me, sir, are you okay? I'm talking. Thanks. As I was saying, this is the darkest book I think I've ever read in my life. Now, I've read dark romance and I love dark romance. This isn't a dark romance. The circumstances that happen to the main character in this book is what makes it dark. So the romance itself is not dark. The book and the backstory is like horrifically dark. I know a lot of people have been complaining about the content, about there not being enough trigger warnings, about how it's disgusting, it's this, it's that, because it depicts child SA, which obviously, yes, that is disgusting and that is horrific. But these things, unfortunately, do actually happen in real life. And yes, that is horrific and disgusting. Chloe Walsh actually released a video after the release of this book, because of all the comments she was getting, explaining that her intent with the whole Boys of Tommen series is to shine a light on these horrific things that do happen in the world. She even said this book is basically a reflection of her own story from her childhood, and I just think that's so unbelievably heartbreaking. Obviously, I'm not naive enough to think stuff like this doesn't happen in the world, but to know that this or some version of this has actually happened to her, I think is absolutely horrendous. Those scenes were extremely, extremely difficult to read, and they were scattered quite regularly throughout the whole book. That being put to one side, the story between Lizzie and Hugh was absolutely beautiful. I have to say I hated Lizzie throughout all of the other books, all of them. I really didn't like her, and I never thought, like, I knew this book before it was released, I knew it was Lizzie's book, and I just thought there is no way that Chloe Walsh is going to make me like Lizzie. Like, there's nothing she could do that's going to make me like her. Chloe was actually extremely clever with this book, and she started from the very beginning when Lizzie was 3, and it shows her journey living with bipolar when she first got her, well, she wasn't diagnosed at 3, but her mental health issues manifested at 3. So it takes you through from when she was 3 up until I think she's 15 at the end. Their relationship was just so beautiful, and it only dawned on me when I was probably about like that much through, so nearly finished, it dawned on me why it was called Release in 10, and I just cried. And then at the end of the book, I sobbed. I just couldn't, like, I'm going to insert another clip of me just being a dramatic bitch.
Nobody writes heartbreak quite like Chloe Walsh.
I gave it 4.75 stars. I thought it was so good, and I feel so bad for Lizzie. Like, I clearly judged her throughout all the other books, not knowing what she's gone through in her life. I don't think I even knew about the bipolar disorder in the other books, so it really opened my eyes to what she was dealing with. And obviously in all the other books, Huey is with Katie, so I was kind of like, how are they even together? Like, I didn't understand. So it was very, very, very heavy, but parts of it very beautiful. I cannot wait for the second book of theirs. I just want to know what it's called so I can know like what I'm expecting. What do I need to prepare for, Chloe? Please let the group know. So there we are. They're the 11 books that I read this month. As I said, it was a very good month for books. Like, would you agree that was really good? I have just done a video where the TBR jar chooses my June read, so I'm going to leave that right here if you want to stay for a while. As per usual, please drop me your book recommendations in the comments, and if you made it this far, then thank you so much for watching.